Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's lighting critique. I hope you all are having a wonderful Thursday, and let's just hop into it. Okay, so let's start off with Alfredo here. So, Alfredo, great reference. I believe this is Secret Life of Pets. Really bright, sunny. I love the way that um, the shadow from the window is kind of framing around the character, kind of centering us in. It's a difficult thing to light a very flat surface like this, so it's nice to see that they are also creating window reflection or window shadow back there to help break up that shape as well. And I think that's a really nice base of reference to go from. So you've got some of those similar qualities. Like I don't know if there's a window off screen shining in or not, or if you're just using Gobo, but you're using the same aesthetics very effectively. The biggest thing that we need to work on is the contrast level of this for two on both ends, on the highs and the lows. So if we're looking at the highs, just look in here at the sunlit part. You'll see that it's much brighter in the reference than it is here. Here it's a little grayed and a little bit flattened out. Same thing with the shadows. Let's take a look at the shadows. More of a blueness, like a coolness and a richness to the values. And yours, it's much more lifted, and we're not quite getting that same saturation. So overall, I really want to make sure that our contrast points are more in line to those brights, the brights and the darks. Going right about in there. In terms of like the highlight and darkness value. Now this is a little bit different because now what we're seeing is compared to the reference, I guess her fur does go brighter than the surroundings. Yeah, that's true. Okay, I was gonna say because this really starts to clip out here before anything else does, and it makes me think that we should either, if it's a separate light, push this light on the environment brighter, or tone down the color of the white fur, like pull it back on the shader, because what's happening is you can see how bright it's getting right here, but like this piece of cloth doesn't actually get that bright, even though it should all be illuminating at the same time. But that being said, like that is about the level of brightness that we want to go to. And then in the background, we want to. This is gonna be tough to do. Sorry for all the construction noise if you guys hear that. The neighbors are doing a bunch of work. So let's, in the shadows, let's see if we can push a little more blue. I guess I did too much in that, but a little more, and then the mid-tones a little bit. Let's try that. Let's see if that worked. Just now around here. A little bit. Yeah, I mean, it's tough to mock that up, but basically in the lights you want to increase the saturation on your fill light or your sky dome or whatever you're using to kind of fill in this, because right now it's a little bit gray and we want to feel it to be a little bit cooler. I really like how we're feeling the fuzz. I love the idea of this rim light over here. It's very bright. In ways that it's almost as bright as the key light, so I would tone that down a little bit, but overall, and it's probably more toned down in the original before I turn the values around. Yeah, well, it's still pretty bright there. So I would tone that down, increase the contrast, get these, like, just look at the shadow color and shadow density. They're also a little sharper on the edges, so we want to increase that light radius to soften those up a little bit too. But overall, your structure is there, and some of your main elements are there. It's just dialing it in. Ashley, good improvement. I think you can push it further. More haze, and definitely more fill light on the character. So like, I just think there should be, a little bit more. So go a little bit brighter in there, and then we want to just kind of keep pushing that fill value on the character, because think about the this pool is essentially just like one big light source, right? It's like a massive bounce card or a massive fill light. So it would really kind of fill in all of the fill areas and the shadow areas on the character, and I think that will really help out a lot. And I think what we can do, and you don't have to do this right now, but eventually what we'll want to do is really glow up this sign back here, because it's far off into space. And did I copy that? Weird. There we go. There we go. Because it's very far back into space, and there's a lot of atmosphere for it to penetrate through. And let's do something like that. And there would just be like, with this added moisture from the pool in the air, there would just be a lot more glowiness around that. So it'd almost be like that. And then we can allow that light to spill out a little bit into the surroundings, so it's kind of like glowing hazy all around it. But I love the direction that you're going. I just think we should push more. Yeah, more on the fill light and more on the haze as a whole. And then watch out for this. Kind of happened when I push this brighter, but just watch out for this light hitting the character a little bit too broadly. Like I'm seeing like this, like pretty broad shape on the front of the character, and we really want to make sure that we're getting light to dark roll off in that region, like right along the face. We really want to feel that shape and not flatten that out too much. But yeah, this is coming together well. I think that you're doing a really good job. So, Grayson, welcome to the group. We have a couple images from you here, and both of them are pretty spot on. Like I love that you're getting the idea and you're rolling forward. And like you said in your comments, it is very difficult to match to reference. Luckily, it this idea of matching it like perfectly doesn't always come up in our industry, but the idea is that you like, this assignment is about pushing you to start to identify the elements of reference images and then mimicking them in your work, because you're a creative person, you're an artist. You don't want to be handcuffed by mimicking only what happens in reference, but you want to be able to pull elements from that into your own work, and that's what this assignment is all about. The only thing about this one is in the reference. So like you've got the shape of the light. The Venetian blinds are looking pretty good. I like the direction of it. I like the softness of the light. In some ways, the shadow of the character is a little bit too sharp back there, but that can just be softened a little bit by increasing the radius of the light. The thing that I would like to see is for you to push. There should feel like there's more fall off on the light. It should be a little bit. It's mostly in the brights, because the lower values in the back wall feel pretty good. It's just like in this chunk of the image, we should feel it brighter. Like we should feel it, like, you see how it's kind of getting very bright here on the lampshade in the reference. It's because it's closer to the window, and I want to feel it fall off a little bit more than what we're doing right now, because it's just feeling very even. So I would look to do that with this one. With your other image, I think the shape of the gobo can just get bigger a little bit, and also, I mean, like, your head's in the right place, but also it can be toned down and softened. Like, do you feel how bright your highlights get in this one versus where they're going here? It's not quite as contrasty, and so to kind of tone that down. Also, try and just for the heck of it, just try and match up those colors. There's a little bit too much pink, kind of magenta salmon tones in this, and it would be nice to get it back to a little bit more yellows, like in the reference up there. Thing. A little bit along these lines, and then a little bit darker. Somewhere along those lines. To get it to line up a little bit would be great. Bing, bing, bing. But yeah, I think that's looking really well. Also, it would be great. Last one. Okay, do you see this? How it's like bright up there? In terms of it feels like there's light shining in. I'm looking specifically at that kind of wall, I guess, like right in there. And I would like for the darks right here not to get so dark because that is the main light source shining down there. So that's it. But like overall, it's really great. Matt, so we've got the reference here from the 3 scenes. Love this idea of doing 3 scenes from the same film because they're going to have a similar artistic style. Very cool stuff. I think the biggest one with the night, this is like a cool, warm combination. So it'd be really nice to get that. And then the other thing about it is just like the softness. So like this light is much harsher right now than what we're seeing. And then additionally, like the outside light coming in here is not as bright as what we're seeing here. So we really want that outside light to be like more subdued. And then the majority of the intensity of light to come in from the interior lights, to come in from these lights. But I think that this light should be softer, a little bigger, a little glowier. And yeah, but like I know you, like you said, this is just early, just kind of getting started kind of stuff. So I don't want to get too nitpicky on you, but this, the top one's all about softness, right? It's all about pink, warm, happy, glowy softness. The second one is all about a single light source coming in, scraping across the wall, scraping across the floor, getting a lot of specular highlights, a lot of specular hits, a lot of detail from that, and it's just like one single kind of broad light source. And the bottom one is all about like balancing interior and exterior light with just lots and lots of softness, like no hard lines, but just like a subtle, gradual rise and fall of value. So I think that's where your focus should be on those 3. But this is gonna be fun. Chablis, good. This one's looking good. I like the reflections you got in those back windows there. It would be nice to get some shapes behind this window so we can cast a little shadow, so there's a little silhouette back there. I like the setup. I just feel like it's too even in this background. I want to find some more opportunities to get some more shaping and variation in there. The easiest would be to get a little variation on the sky. Second would be to allow some of this light to kind of bounce up into here and get a little shaping across there, and a little shaping bouncing up from this light in the surroundings. I think that this can actually go brighter. And then additionally, I want to, I'm not quite sure where this light's coming from on this. I would isolate that to just kind of right over here, and just kind of allow that to fall into the shadow. You can darken everything over here too to kind of create a little more vignetting. Same thing with in here, like anything over there. Yeah, but like any kind of like spec detail hits that you can pick up back here on the buildings back there would be really great. But I love this. I love the way it's shaping up. I love the structure of it. All right, and lastly we've got Tristan. So again, still early in the process. Got a few things to go through here. Let's take a look. So yeah, so I think that this is good. It's a little complex. So for me, whenever I'm like I see that everything's kind of leading in there, and that's fine. But this is so complex that we need the lighting to simplify it. So it would if we're really trying to focus in on the eyes, it would be great. Like you're kind of doing it here, but like allow the light to kind of come slashing in and focus in that way. The other thing too is looking at your reference. It's a lot of light coming up from underneath, so maybe it's more about light coming up like this way, Adam, and slashing up that way, and then creating some of the pockets of light on the hands to really read what he's going through. So like because all of your reference has either side or kind of under lighting except for Salvador Dali there. So something to be aware of with your lighting. I know you've got the key light coming in from the upper screen, right? So you may want to level that off or even lower it a little bit. In terms of the octopus itself, make sure you're paying attention to the rich color of the octopus. And then in terms of the environment, make sure there's a lot of haze. As again, underwater, lots of aerial perspective, caustic light shining around, God rays shining through, and then like a real kind of strong sense of light source is great, because the one thing that we don't want, I don't really want to see any of that up there. I want that to kind of haze out. So I really kind of want to focus in on this character. But yeah, that's pretty much the caustic size looks good. I think that's about right. I'm trying to judge it based on like the size of an octopus. It feels about right in size. We'll have to see it with everything else, but I think that's looking pretty good. But yeah, so that's where we are today. If you all have any questions, make sure you reach out, add them in the comments below, and I'll be happy to look into them. But have a great day, everyone. All right, happy lighting.